Greetings, hi there. I'm Dr. Walter Jacobson, a board-certified psychiatrist, and today's talk is about past life regression therapy. What's forgiveness got to do with it? Now, for those of you who are unfamiliar with past life regression therapy, basically it's a hypnotic technique where presumably you take people into a past life where they can experience certain things that happened, things that were done to them, certain things that they did. And through that process of exploring past life traumas and experiences, they can heal themselves and learn from those past lives and bring that information and that healing into their present life. Now, whether you believe that in reincarnation and in past lives doesn't actually matter in this hypnotic technique. It's very possible. I happen to believe that there are past lives and that this information is real, but you don't have to for the experience to be very effective and very healing for you. Even if your subconscious mind is creating stories and analogies and metaphors, and your subconscious mind is still putting together explanations and healing information for you to use to overcome whatever blockage you're experiencing in your life. So it can be very healing and very powerful whether you believe in reincarnation in past lives or not, because the power of the mind to heal is really what we're talking about. And forgiveness is part of that healing process. Forgiveness is, in my opinion, the key to healing, happiness, love, success. In fact, forgiveness is the key to having really sustainable relationships with yourself, with family and loved ones, partners, significant others, work relationships. Everything really comes down to unconditional love and acceptance. Forgiveness, unconditional forgiveness is part of that whole process. So, although much healing can be accomplished through past life regression therapy via the uncovering of past life traumas, when forgiveness is explicitly expressed in the processing of the past life experiences, it can accelerate and augment the healing. This is due to the fact that most past life traumas have emotions and issues such as anger, resentments, judgments, betrayal, abandonment, and victimization associated with them at an unconscious level, all of which are best resolved with the conscious implementation of acceptance, compassion, and forgiveness. Okay? So, by the way, if the whole point of taking on a body is to learn about acceptance, forgiveness, love, the oneness of which we all are a part, which is what I believe, then this is the goal of every life we experience, present, past, and future as well. In which case, forgiveness needs to be the cornerstone of any past life regression therapy. Basically, what I'm saying is, if you're doing past life regression therapy as a practitioner or somebody or as a patient or a client, if forgiveness isn't part of the equation, I think you're just not giving your money's worth or getting your money's worth. Okay, so what I do in my regressions, when I'm regressing people in a past life regression therapy session, first I do a standard relaxation technique of relaxing the muscles from head to toe. You start out with people relaxing, breathing slowly, relaxing all the muscles in the top of their head, and then you have this progressive relaxation down to their toes. And then we have a ball of light that sort of enters their body. They visualize this ball of healing energy, cosmic energy, the energy and power of love, just sort of enveloping their whole body in a cocoon, healing their every cell, every fiber of their body, every cell of their consciousness is kind of bathing in this this healing energy. And then what I do is I take them down the steps. We take them down a stairway. This is a hypnotic deepening exercise to make the hypnosis even stronger, to make you go deeper into a relaxed state where your mind will be more suggestible. And just for those who aren't familiar with hypnosis, hypnosis is not control. It's not me controlling you. We are really just a conductor. You're making the music. It's your choice. We use the power of suggestion to influence your subconscious mind to go in the direction that you consciously want to go. But if you want to resist, you resist. There's all that idea that a hypnotist can make you do things you don't want to do. That's just not true. During the session, you are completely aware of what's going on, and if it gets unpleasant or in any way or uncomfortable or you don't want to be a part of it, you can rise above it. you can just open your eyes up and come out of it and be in your normal state of consciousness. So what I do is I take them down the steps into their deepening, this deepening exercise. As they go walk down these steps that they visualize, they go deeper and deeper into the relaxation hypnotic state. Then I have them visualize themselves in a garden. This is a very common thing that's done in hypnosis. A beautiful garden on a beautiful day. You know, blue skies, billowy white clouds, warm sun, cool breeze, trees, grass, beautiful flowers of all scents and colors, birds chirping. It's incredibly pleasant, relaxing, comfortable, and safe. And I refer to this as the safe haven, as a place that people can go in their mind whenever they're feeling uncomfortable or unsafe or just anxious or tense, that they can take themselves to their safe haven, to their garden, and just relax and be comfortable and feel safe and secure. And in this safe haven, when they're in this garden, in this safe haven, there's no past that they need to be perturbed about. There's no future that they need to be concerned about. So there's just the eternal now, the eternal, peaceful, serene, safe, secure, relaxing, loving now. And that's where they are, in a moment of eternity where they're safe and no threat, and they can really relax and be comfortable and gain access to the power of the universe, to their higher self, to their spirit guides, their angels, to the collective unconscious, whatever you wish to call the source of great wisdom and love that I believe is available to everyone when they calm down and quiet the noise in their head, the noise of their ego, which is always chattering, trying to distract them, trying to keep them stuck in the material world, trying to keep them stuck in the world of competition and threat and fear and insecurity. You shut down that voice, you quiet that voice of the struggling ego that believes in separation, and then you realize that you shut down that voice. You're eliminating the block to the awareness of love's presence. You're eliminating the blockage to the flow of love in your life. So that's what I do. I get them to the garden, and in the garden, then as they're really relaxed and comfortable and feeling safe, I then discuss a lot of forgiveness principles, because my feeling is, before we do the past life regression itself, and they're in this very suggestible, relaxed, hypnotic state, it's kind of like priming the pump. I let their subconscious mind understand in more detail the whole idea of forgiveness, why the value of it, why we do it. It puts people in a greater willingness to embrace forgiveness during their past life regression experience and in the rest of their lives as well. So what do I do? So when they're in the garden, relaxed and comfortable, in the eternal now, feeling a lot of serenity and love, then I discuss with them the benefits of forgiveness. That the whole key to forgiveness is to release our anger, to release our hurt, our fear, our judgments, our sense of victimhood, all of which enable us to open our heart to unconditional love and acceptance. And as I said before, this is the function of forgiveness: to remove the barriers to the awareness of love's presence, to remove the conditions and expectations in our mind that we have established, which keep us in a state of unforgiveness and block us from expressing our unconditional love. So ultimately, when they're in the garden, I encourage people to forgive others for their own peace of mind, to let go of all the trash in their head, all their anger, hurt, resentment, bitterness, their victimhood. They perpetuate their victimhood long after being victimized with their unforgiveness. And then I encourage people to forgive themselves, because we have done stuff to people that we haven't been proud of, that has generated shame and guilt and self-loathing at a deeply embedded unconscious level. And so, and all of this, by the way, contributes to depression and anxiety, and it actually contributes to self-sabotaging behaviors that get in the way of our happiness, our physical well-being, our health, and our material success. So we forgive others for our own peace of mind. We forgive ourselves for our own peace of mind, but we forgive ourselves also so that we can get out of our way. And this is a very important part of my book, Forgive to Win. The idea being that when we forgive ourselves and get rid of our guilt, shame, and self-loathing, we get rid of self-sabotaging behaviors. And the whole premise of this is that, we have these self-sabotaging behaviors. We procrastinate, we resist, we don't do things that are in our best interest, right? And we do things that are toxic. We hang out with toxic people, places, circumstances. We ingest toxic substances. We don't call people back. We get into car accidents because we're tailgating. We do all sorts of self-destructive, self-sabotaging things. So the premise is, why would anyone do that? Why would anyone kick themselves in the gut on a regular basis if they like themselves? Well, they wouldn't. Intuitively, you don't attack yourself if you like yourself. You attack yourself if you don't like yourself, if you believe you are a sinner, if you believe you deserve punishment and failure because you're not good enough, because you're guilty and full of shame and self-loathing, then you're going to attack yourself. Your subconscious mind is going to create a reality that reflects your internal reality of guilt, shame, and self-loathing. So we sabotage ourselves because deep down we don't like ourselves. We're filled with guilt and shame. So we have to find a way to forgive ourselves. When we forgive ourselves and love ourselves, we eliminate the guilt, shame, and self-loathing. Our subconscious mind says, hey, we're okay. Yeah, we can give this guy all the goodies. Then the law of attraction starts to work for you rather than against you. You start attracting people, places, and circumstances that are beneficial and synergistic. You stop getting in your own way. You stop the self-sabotaging behaviors. And your life gets better. You stop alienating people. Your relationships get better. Your health gets better because anger and resentment and guilt and shame, it's all stressful. It all suppresses the immune system. Makes it easier to get sick and harder to get well. So everything improves. Relationships, health, happiness, material success when we forgive and love ourselves and eliminate the guilt, shame, and self-loathing, which eliminates the self-sabotaging behaviors. And just to kind of put the cap and the conclusion to this whole idea of forgive to win, well, how do you forgive and love yourself? Well, we can do that in past life regression therapy. That's part of what we'll get into in a few minutes. But the best way to forgive and love yourself is to forgive and love others. Because what we're really doing when we project, when we attack other people and resent other people, even if we feel justified, even when we're angry and feel justified, it's really just a projection of our own self-loathing, our own guilt and shame. So when we forgive others and are of service to others and are generous and kind and compassionate to others, we're really forgiving our projections. We're forgiving all the crap inside ourselves when we forgive and love others. So that's why we forgive and love others, we forgive and love ourselves, and everything gets better. Okay, so in the garden, in that state of relaxation, that's what I do. I explain to them all this stuff about forgiveness, about the virtues of forgiveness, the benefits of forgiveness. I reinforce the idea that we have all played many roles that there are to play in this lifetime or other lifetimes, and multiple lifetimes. If you do believe we've been around for multiple lifetimes, then you gotta know that hey, you have not been the saint in the city. No matter how cool you are today, in past lives you have probably killed and stolen and mutilated and abused and assaulted other people numerous times, and been victimized as well in those similar ways. We've done it all. We've been good, bad, and ugly. We've all made mistakes. We've all hurt others. It's all part of the path towards unity, oneness, unconditional love, and acceptance. It's all part of the path. It's all part of realizing, that's the whole key. When you're in past lives and you see, oh, look, this person victimized me, and I'm really angry at them. Well, hey, if you step back and consider, you probably victimized them at some point in this lifetime or some other lifetime. Or if not them, then somebody else. You probably did the very same thing to somebody else. This whole karmic wheel keeps spinning and spinning and spinning. We're always doing unto others all sorts of crap. So why should we take this high and mighty attitude? How dare you? You did this to me, and I'm going to hold you in contempt for eternity. And I'm not going to forgive you because you're evil and bad and a sinner. No, you're just condemning yourself for all the very same things that you've suppressed deep down and put into the unconscious vault in your mind. You know, so when you realize we're all in this together, we've all done this crap to each other, hopefully that makes you realize that, hey, we need to let go of all of our judgments, all of our harsh condemnations of others, and forgive them, just as we would wish to be forgiven. Okay, all right, so I talk about in the haven, in the safe haven, why people have an unwillingness to forgive. Okay, now basically, people don't want to forgive because they want to punish the other person for the hurts that they have felt. Right? They've been hurt, they've been victimized. They don't want to let the person off the hook. They feel that person needs to feel the same pain they felt. So being unforgiving, it's a way for us to, like, we think that we're causing them more guilt, more shame. We're causing them self-loathing. We're causing them emotional pain. And so we're punishing them. But the irony is, you know, most of the time, they're not thinking about us. They're not, they're not dwelling on their guilt, shame, and self-loathing regarding what they've done to us. For the most part, they're not losing any sleep over what they've done to us. We are. So by continuing to try to punish them with unforgiveness, all we're really doing is maintaining our own sense of victimhood long after they victimized us. It's a complete waste of time. It keeps us in an emotional prison. This whole idea of vengeance and vengeance with our unforgiveness, attacking them with our unforgiveness, it doesn't heal us. In fact, it only keeps us stuck. Not only that, whenever we attack people with unforgiveness or in any other way, even if we feel justified, on some level we are diminishing ourselves and attacking ourselves. Okay, so we think that by forgiving others, maybe we're somehow giving them the message that we're condoning what they did, or that they shouldn't be held responsible, or that there shouldn't be consequences of their actions. And this isn't true. You can forgive others, and that doesn't mean you have to like them. That doesn't mean you have to hang out with them. No. And it doesn't mean that they shouldn't be held accountable for what they did. It doesn't mean that there shouldn't be consequences of their actions. There can be, but you can forgive people and they still need to be held accountable. A lot of times we think that that we're letting them off the hook. No, you're not letting them off the hook. You're letting yourself off the hook. So people think, well, if I forgive, then maybe I'm sending them the message that I want to be abused again, that I'm inviting more abuse, that I'm inviting more victimhood, that I'm weak, that I'm a doormat. No, that's not the case either. No. These are all kind of manipulations of the ego to convince you not to forgive, because the ego believes in separation, wants to keep the competition, wants to keep the attack alive. But as long as competition and attack and separation is alive in your mind and heart, unconditional love never will be. A true sense of inner peace never will be. So, you have to realize that forgiveness is strength. It's not weakness. It takes great strength to forgive. And in fact, I've referenced this before. The meek shall inherit the earth doesn't mean the weak. It means those who will forgive, those who are loving, those who are accepting. Okay? Survival of the fittest used to be, whoever can beat somebody else over the head and take their food. Eventually, survival of the fittest will not be about who has the bigger club or the bigger bomb. It's going to be about who has the bigger heart, who can share and care and watch out for each other. We are all in this together. And as soon as we start realizing this and getting past all of our nationalistic fervor, and our belief in war as a means to an end, the survival of the human race is going to depend upon the survival of the emotionally fittest, the spiritually fittest, those who can love unconditionally, those who can accept and let go of judgments, those who can forgive. Okay, so forgiveness is a strength. We talk about that when they're in the garden, in their safe haven. Okay. Right? Now then we do the regression. And what I do in the regression is after they've been in the garden, in the safe haven, then I ask them to visualize a mirror in the garden, and they stand up and they walk over to the mirror, and I suggest to them that the mirror has many mirrors, and that there's like multiple kind of mirrors going all the way back in, and that there are multiple selves going all the way back into the mirror, all the way back into the time, that this is the timeline of their past lives. And then I suggest to them that they will be drawn to one of the mirrors, to one of the past lives that has information for them that will help them to heal themselves in this life, that will help them with whatever dilemma they decided to do the past life regression therapy in the first place for. Okay, so I suggest that, and then we do a countdown, and then as we get closer, to the countdown, they are drawn into one of these mirrors, one of these past lives, and then they're in that past life environment. And then I go through the very standard techniques that I was taught by Dr. Brian Weiss, psychiatrist and renowned past life regression therapist and teacher, and where you help people to start to bring the memories of that past life, their identity, whether they're male or female, what kind of clothes they're wearing, what their environment is, what season it might be, what their family, and it's quite amazing. Some people, it's unbelievable. They go right into an incredibly rich past life experience with massive detail that is profound. And then other people, less so. Other people have some sensations, some imagery, some sensations. So there's a wide range, just like some people are highly hypnotizable and highly suggestible and others aren't. So too, the past life regression experiences can be very varied, from mild to incredibly extreme. But so they get drawn into a past life regression. They experience the past life regression, and as much as we possibly can. And I take them from, usually they start out by going to a place in that timeline which has relevance, but then I also kind of guide them to other times in that timeline which might add to the experience, that might add to the information, and have additional relevance, And then we go to the time when they're about to pass over, when they're about to die in that lifetime, and they experience what that is like. Now, without pain, without suffering, they're able to kind of look at it from just a more objective point of view. And then we go to the realm in between lives. The whole premise is that if you've got multiple lives, what happens is the premise is that after you die, you are an eternal spirit. You are an eternal soul. So you release the body, and the spirit goes to another place of consciousness. And in that place of consciousness, you may be assisted by spirit guides, or your spirit family, or your angels, or whatever you might want to call it. You're sort of in a classroom, perhaps, where you review your life and you review the lessons and what was good or bad, what did you accomplish, what you set out to do in that lifetime, what mistakes you made, what you could have done better. And then the premise is then you prepare yourself and choose what your next reincarnation might be and what lessons you want to learn. So there is this in-between place or consciousness or realm where we go to after they've had the past life experience. And basically the idea is to get in touch with their higher self or their oversoul, their spirit guides, the collective unconscious, the source, whatever they want to call it, and to review that life. And then I take them through the forgiveness processing of that lifetime. I ask them, as their past life self, okay, to face their past life victimizer. Okay, so they're face to face with. So let's say they were assaulted or murdered by somebody, and they saw that happen in the past life. Then in the in between realm, they face that person in their past life self. They face that past life person, and then they release them. They forgive them. They basically say, I recognize that I had certain conditions and demands and expectations. I didn't expect you to behave that way. But I understand that we're all on a path. We all are, do what we do in our process of learning and growing. And so I accept you unconditionally. I forgive you unconditionally for what you did. And I love you unconditionally. And so we have that dialogue. They have that dialogue with the person. Okay? And I also ask them to accept, forgive, and love themselves. So even though, let's say there was a very specific, they were victimized by a victimizer, I still, and I've just asked them to, their past life self, to forgive their past life victimizer. I also asked them to forgive themselves for any victimization they might have done to that person or anybody in that lifetime. Because it all adds to it. It all adds to the awareness. It enables forgiveness to be more effective because it all adds to the awareness that, none of us are clean. All of us are victimizing and attacking other people oftentimes in very subtle ways, but it's all there. It's all happening. And so to forgive, to have their past life self forgive themselves, I believe is an important part of the process. Okay, so now, if the past life regression actually revealed that they were the victimizer of someone else, okay, as opposed to just generally presuming that we all victimize people in various ways in past lives, if there was actually, the person was the victimizer of someone else, then part of the process is for them, the past life self, to ask for forgiveness of the person they victimized. Okay? And an important, and I also, by the way, I also asked, let me get this out of the way, I also asked that their present life self confront their past life victimizer and forgive them, and their present life self confront their past life person who victimized others and forgive them. Okay, so the past forgives the past, the present forgives the past. But an important point about all this in terms of when we ask forgiveness of others is that, it doesn't matter, whether they accept our forgiveness or not. So let's say they're in a past life. This is true in your present life as well. If you go to forgive somebody, to ask for forgiveness from somebody, and they are not gracious and they want to maintain their unforgiveness, it's not a problem. You don't have to feel bad or guilty. Your healing is still intact. It's the process, okay? It's irrelevant whether when you ask for forgiveness from others, it's irrelevant whether they forgive you or not, because it is the release of one's ego and the asking for forgiveness that is the healing, right? We have no control over the need of others to hang on to their unforgiveness, right? We are not a victim of their need, should it exist, to be unforgiving. The point is, our asking for forgiveness releases us. If they accept the forgiveness, it's icing on the cake, but the healing is done the minute we release our ego and ask for forgiveness. So this is true in present day life with anyone in your present day. When you ask for forgiveness for them and they are reluctant to forgive you and they want to keep you in an emotional prison, you don't need to be there. You can release yourself. You are free. In the past life, if you were a victimizer of somebody else, and during our in-between realm, you bring up that person you victimized and you ask for forgiveness, I've never seen it happen where they don't, because in the spiritual realm, that's where it's at. That's what we do. That's the reality of who we really are: unconditional forgiveness, acceptance, and love. So I've never seen that happen, but were it to happen, that the person would be unreceptive to your request for forgiveness, the healing is there. The healing has happened instantly. Okay. Now then, two examples. I wanted to just share with you two examples of how this has worked. This in-between forgiveness experience has worked for people in my practice. One actually was a more personal realm. A friend of mine, I went to a Brian Weiss one-day workshop in Los Angeles several years ago with a friend of mine. And he does various little exercises during the event, and she got the experience of choking. That she was choking in a past life. That's really all she got, was just sort of a sensation of choking. Okay. Then a few years later, I went to a training by a past life regression therapy training that was conducted by Brian Weiss. And when I came back from the training, I did this friend of mine had a best friend. She had a birthday party. She asked me if I would, as part of sort of the party entertainment, if I would do a group past life regression on the entire group, which I did. Okay. And during that regression, my friend went a little further than feeling a choking sensation. She had the belief that she had been strangled by somebody, and somebody in the room during this group regression. Okay. Now, so then we did an individual regression, a one-on-one, and it turned out that the person who had strangled her was her best friend. And now the interesting thing about their relationship is that they were best friends, but it was a friendship that was filled with a certain amount of, animosity and aggression. And my friend would be very sarcastic and ridiculing, and oftentimes be very hurtful and unloving. And they would go through periods of not talking to each other. So it was a sort of a love-hate relationship. And there was a lot of unpleasantness and unacceptance and unlovingness and unforgiveness involved in the relationship. And so during the one-on-one past life regression, my friend had the opportunity to see, to forgive her friend in the past life for strangling her, and to forgive herself for the stuff she had done to her friend in other past lives and in that life as well. And then we processed did more processing of this whole forgiveness and the whole relationship. And the end result after this entire experience is that the sarcasm and animosity towards her friend diminished dramatically. Their breakups diminished dramatically. Their friendship blossomed more and more and became better and better. Okay, now the other example, let me just move this over here. The other example was a patient of mine who wanted to do a career change. Okay, she said she wanted to work with animals. She didn't really know why, except that she did know that she didn't like people very much, and she didn't really want to work with people very much, and she tended in general to avoid being around people. She just didn't like their energy. She didn't like being a part of a group of people. Okay, so in her past life experience, it turned out she was part of a nomadic tribe. All right, that would follow animals from watering hole to watering hole. That's how they kind of survived. They would kind of be around the animals, and the animals would go to the water, and they would go to the water, and they would survive. And then one day, her entire tribe was wiped out by another tribe. Her entire tribe was massacred viciously, victimized viciously by this other tribe. And so it kind of became clear that her love of animals and her antipathy for people, that they were tied into that past life experience. Okay. She'd been avoiding people and favoring animals in her life because of that experience, and she was limiting the joy that she could have in her present life because of that, because of all that hurt and pain and victimization and fear of being further hurt again if she was drawn into the world and realm of human beings. So after the regression, well, during the regression, she was, after the regression in the in-between realm, she was able to forgive that tribe of people that assaulted and massacred her and her family and her people. And she was able to let go of all of her resentment, her fear, her victimhood. And she was able to release it. And then when she, what finally happened was, she didn't have this. She didn't have this same antipathy and fear of people and unwillingness to be part of groups. She was able to be more inclusive with other people. She actually ended up working with people. I kind of made the analogy or the reference. You're still working with animals. You're working with human animals. Human beings, they're still animals. So you actually accomplished what you said you wanted to do. You wanted to work with animals, but now her life was much richer, and she still can love animals and be with animals, the pet kind and the zoo kind, but she could also have much more enriched and fulfilling relationships with people in work and in play. And so this all, a large part of it was involved in doing the forgiveness work within the past life regression experience. Okay. So now what happens is, after they have the past life regression experience, and then they have the in-between realms forgiveness, and processing of that experience, and I take them back to the garden, back to the safe haven, and then I discuss tools. While they're still in their deeply suggestible state, I discuss the tools that they can use when they have trouble forgiving others, right? And so I kind of give them the tools. Well, what are the tools? Well, gratitude, counting their blessings, right? When you appreciate what you've got despite what you don't have, when you appreciate what you've got despite what's happened to you, it makes it easier to forgive others. So that's all what this processing in the garden afterwards is all about. Basically forgiving others and helping people to realize that ways when they have trouble forgiving others, when they resist forgiving others, well, what do? Well, try to find ways. Try to find ways to get past your own resistance, your own ego stubbornness. So be grateful for what you've got. Count your blessings. So appreciate what other people have gone through, in their lives. If you can appreciate that someone was abused when they were young, maybe it'll help you to be able to forgive them for their abusive behavior. If you can see that in their present life they have a lot of scarcity and lack and pain and drama and trauma, it might be able to enable you to have more compassion and to make it easier for you to forgive them for their bad behavior. But for the grace of God go I. Martin Luther King once said, hate the sin but love the sinner. If you can look at it that way and that enables you to forgive someone, go for it. That's what you got to do. You got to find ways to forgive, because forgiving is good for you. And so that's the whole key to this whole thing during the safe haven, different techniques for forgiving. I help people, I encourage people during this phase with forgiveness mantras to remind themselves throughout the day, and particularly when they are caught up in judgment and unforgiveness, to just go over in their head certain truths, to remember, to reinforce, to reprogram the subconscious mind. Anger hurts and forgiveness heals us, right? I forgive others for my own peace of mind. Anger hurts and forgiveness heals me. I forgive others for my own peace of mind. Everything is love or a call for love. If you can see that when people are attacking you, that it's actually because they're full of pain and actually are trying to get reassurance and love, but they just are doing it in the most sick and perverse and upside down way, it makes it easier to forgive. Another mantra, I see the love in everyone. There is nothing else to see. I also provide people with forgiveness visualizations during this phase. And now, forgiveness visualization, one of them is I ask people to, what you can do when you have trouble forgiving somebody is visualize like a really scary, horrible Halloween mask. But not one of these phony baloney ones, but something, a really scary, like, Friday the 13th kind of like face, right? And then visualize, and that's who you perceive this person who you're having trouble forgiving being. This really horrible, ugly, frightening, scary, sadistic, crazed individual. And then you pull away the mask and you see underneath just a face that's full of God and love and compassion. And ultimately that's who we all are underneath the masks we wear. And you do this and it gives you a greater chance, a greater potential to forgive those who you feel have victimized and harmed you. And then the other visualization technique that I tell people about is the forgiveness bridge. Now the whole idea of this is like you visualize yourself, you're in a dark territory, dark frontier, and in the distance is like a land of peace and love and joy and harmony in heaven, right? And there's this bridge that's all gnarly and full of rusted metal and wood, and it's just a mess, and nobody can get across that bridge by themselves because it's just impossible. It's just full of thorns and nails and corrosion and etc. The only way to get across is to hold the hand of somebody. And so what you do is you visualize the person you're having trouble forgiving at the base of the bridge. You hold their hand. The two of you maneuver and manage to get across from the darkness into the light, to the place of serenity and peace and joy and love. And you look at this person who you have so much like animosity and towards, and for what they've done to you, and you realize, they actually helped me. I couldn't have gotten here to this better place without them. And so you're able to forgive them and thank them, and it works. And so I advise people to do that. And then I offer people forgiveness affirmations during this place where they're still in the safe haven, still in the garden. And these are affirmations they can use in their life when they wake up to reprogram their mind. Every day and in every way I esteem and forgive others. Every day and in every way I give up my judgments and attack thoughts. Every day and in every way it becomes easier to forgive and forget. Every day and in every way it becomes easier to engage in esteemable acts. Every day and in every way it becomes easier to let go of grievances and resentments. Every day and in every way I make wise choices that benefit myself and the world. And by the way, forgiving and forgetting is a great idea. It doesn't mean that you forget what happened and that you aren't vigilant for, and environmentally aware of dangers. But you forget the emotional charge that was attached to whatever happened to you. Because if you don't, then you haven't really forgiven. Okay, then I bring them out of hypnosis, and we further process the experience, and we reinforce the principles of forgiveness, the idea of letting go of judgments and resentments, the idea of unconditional acceptance, forgiveness, love, and service to others. Okay, that's basically the deal. Hope you enjoyed the show. Take care. Peace be with you. See you next time.